Hello there guys, it's Niran here, and today it is time for some more FIFA 14 Aston Villa career mode. Welcome. As you know, last episode we ended the season with two awesome games. A 2-0 win against Tottenham in the final game of the Barclays Premier League season, and incredibly a 2-0 win in the FA Cup final against Manchester United to win the FA Cup. Really great way to end the season after a little bit of disappointment towards the end in challenging for sort of second and third in the league. But as I alluded to last episode, this episode will be purely about stats and about how people perform this season and the post-season sort of stage where I'm like starting to look at transfers and sending my scouts out and stuff. So there will be no games in this episode because there's a long time from the end of the season until when we actually get into into the summer transfer window and the friendlies and such like. So if you don't want to watch this is fine by me. But as you can see, Chelsea won the Barclays Premier League title by 3 goals, basically, on goal difference in front of Liverpool. Manchester United was 3rd, we were 4th, in front of Spurs there in 5th, and Manchester City. Arsenal rescued 7th, in front of Everton, Fulham and Newcastle. And then down in the relegation zone, Sunderland just surviving in front of Crystal Palace, Norwich and Cardiff. Of course, Crystal Palace, who famously beat us 5-2 earlier on in the season, ending up getting relegated in the end. But as you can see here, just going through the stats that we had in the Barclays Premier League season, as you can see, top goal scorer by a mile was Benteke with 20, in front of Bruma with 9, Backley with 8, Van Ginkel 6, and Zogbia 5, then Agbonlahor and Delph with 4, in front of Weimann and Rondlar with 2, with Klein and Baker each scoring 1. In terms of the average rating, Benteke was actually on top of that, but only just in front of Marco Van Ginkel. So in theory, I suppose he could be player of the season, you could suggest, but Marco Van Ginkel there in front of Vlaar, Backley, Bruma, Delph, Akore, Bakuna and Shea Given being the highest of the goalkeepers, only 1 little point in front of Ron Robert Zieler. But now we're going to have a look at the assists, and it's Marco Van Ginkel who heads that by 4 on 12 in front of Benteke's 8, Bruma on 7, Backley and Delph there on 5, with Klein and Westwood on 3. Westwood doing a great job, having only played 17 games with 3 assists there. Agbonlahor with 2, and then Bakuna, Lowton, Vlaar, Akore and Zogbia each with 1. Now I alluded to a moment ago, player of the season. Now next episode, when we get into the transfers and possibly the first friendly of the second season, should I do a goal of the season and player of the season poll? And I didn't know whether you wanted to have an input on that, as we see the top scorers there in the background, being headed by Luis Suarez of Liverpool there, with Benteke quite close behind. But yeah, whether you guys wanted to vote on a goal of the season, I'd put forward sort of 5 goals from the season that I thought were the best 5, and then you guys can vote for them in the comment section. It's the same basically situation for the player of the season as well, because based on the averages it's Benteke, but I don't know, you guys might have a different opinion. As you can see, we're just going through the assists now, and Van Ginkel the highest, of course, for us, 3rd actually in the league in total with 12, which was led by Coutinho in 2nd. I think was another Liverpool player there, I'm sure, but anyway, nevertheless I missed that unfortunately. But now getting into the scouts, we're going to hire a new GTN scout because we need one. We've got pretty poor scouts at the moment. We're going to get one with 5-star judgment and 3-star experience here, being Martin Rasmussen of Denmark there for about 5 million, I think it was. We're going to send him out to a country a little bit later on. He's still in transit. Unfortunately, we got an international job offer as well just a moment after that, and that was from South Korea. I decided to reject it because, in all honesty, although the country is developing in terms of the players they're getting, with players like Heung-min Son and the such like from Bayer Leverkusen, I don't think even with them at their highest potential, they'd be a great team that you could go on and sort of do well in the World Cup with. And even, I mean, with the youth scouting system on this game, it would be pretty much useless. But as you can see now, Max Meyer, the loanee from Schalke last season, we did put an option to buy him for 800 grand after that loan expired, and we have gone ahead and done that. And with the amount of potential this kid has, and the amount of, how good he is, it's quite incredible that we're only getting him for that amount. In terms of the contracts they're expiring, ignore Benjamin Siegrist. I managed to get an offer on the table for him, but Jed Steer, Albrighton and Janoy Donathian will be released at the end of the season, so they won't have a club, they won't be part of the team anymore. Mark Albrighton, really the biggest name on that, as I give Yoris Akore a pay rise. He was asking for that in the player conversation section. I think he deserves it. He's been one of the best defenders, if not the best defender, all season, himself and Nathaniel Klein, so he definitely deserves that, and I've given him the new contract. As you can see, the loan has expired for Marco Van Ginkel. Unfortunately, I didn't put a buy-in offer for after that expired. So he has unfortunately now gone back to Chelsea, and a few loan expiries there for players that were out on loan from us. But as you can see, big news. Andreas Weimann has decided he wants to leave the club, and it's just so disappointing because I love playing with Andreas Weimann. Up until recently, I'd completely forgotten this saga was going on. but unfortunately does want to leave. He doesn't feel at home despite actually being technically a kind of English. He is Austrian, but he was born in England or something like that. But anyway, so that's very unfortunate. And then right off the bat, at the start of the new season, I've simmed through the new season, and Bruma's got a torn hamstring. He'll be out for 6 weeks, which means he will miss the entire friendly period and will just about possibly make it to the first game of the season. I'm not entirely sure, but Clement Grenier, in better news, has joined on a pre-contract agreement, so he's now available for friendlies and the such like at the start of the new season, obviously. Just a quick little look at the expectations of the board. I didn't actually get one for the league objective, but in terms of the cup, they want me to reach the round of 16, which is not really that optimistic, actually. I'm quite happy with that. They do, however, want me to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and as you can see, we'll get £18 million in transfer budget and 90 grand a week in terms of wages to spend on the team, which is great news, I have to say. Really happy with that. A lot of moolah, a lot of cash to be bringing in. As you can see, here's what I'm doing with players being transfer listed. Graham Burke, Bent, Silla, Tonev, and Joe Bennett all up for sale, and the rest of them just up for loan. People like Samir Carruthers, Jack Grealish, and Stuart Dwyer. But now, here's the big problem. I've got to sell Andreas Weimann. I've got a message from the board saying I had to sell him, and actually Everton have come in with a $5 million bid, despite his value only being $4.3 million, so I will actually get a bit of a profit, although I only get $4.2 million for the transfer in the end, because obviously you only get part of the transfer. So it's disappointing when Andreas Weimann does indeed go to Everton, despite being homesick and then going to a team in the same country, which makes absolutely no sense at all, but still that is FIFA logic. As you can see, with it's a new season, so I'm going to have to put new instructions in because we're looking for new types of players. As you can see, we're looking for a first-team quality centre-back, a pacey full-back to give a bit of competition to Loughton and Klein this season, a new winger to replace Andreas Weimann, possibly on the bench, but, you know, and then another centre-mid to replace Marco Van Ginkel going back, because Clement Grenier was actually coming in for an additional midfielder. I didn't realise I wouldn't be getting Van Ginkel on a permanent deal, so I will have to replace him. So there will be about 4 signings at least made, as well as some young players to add to the depth. But now just sending my GTN scouts to various countries, the first one being Lee Craig, being sent to France to scout in the Ligue 1 and the Ligue 2. I don't know if I've pronounced that right, but nevertheless, the second scout being Scott Anton, with his 3-star experience and 3-star judgment, will be going out to Italy to study the Serie A and the Serie B. And just before I could put my my third GTN scout, being Martin Rasmussen, out to a different country, I got an offer for Joe Bennett from Middlesbrough and decided to sell him. It hasn't really played much, hasn't really featured a huge amount, so he'll be off to Middlesbrough and down to the Championship. But here, as you can see, I actually had a gander through the free agents, and there's actually some pretty decent young players here, mainly being Luka Longo, the centre-mid, and Yuri Ignatovic. The Argentinian guy was quite good as well, had a decent amount of pace, but I decided to go for Luka Longo and the Russian kid. I've already forgotten his name. You see, my short-term memory is awful. But nevertheless, I decided to put a bid in for Luka Longo. You know, they're free transfers. You might as well just put a punt on them and see. In terms of their attributes, they look decent. They look as if they could be about 60 stat. And if you're a teenager and you're 60 stat, you know, well, if you're 17 or 18 and you're around the low 60 stat area, you've got a pretty decent potential in my eyes. Nevertheless, I'm going to send Martin Rasmussen now out to Germany with his 5-star judgment, 3-star experience. It'll be interesting to see what he comes back with. But yeah, I'm sure he'll come back with some great players. Now, to finish off the scouting revamp, we've got Evgeny Voinov, a new youth scout. I decided to get rid of my old English guy because he was awful and bring in a new one for about 7 million, I think that was. 5-star youth scout, so there's no excuse. He should be bringing in some awesome youth players. But that is pretty much it for this episode, guys. You've seen the stats, you've seen how the season ended, you've seen the best players, and what went down in the post-season, verging now and starting into the pre-season. I'm hoping to get a friendly into the next episode, maybe even a simmed game as well. I hope you don't mind me simming a few friendlies, because obviously I played them last year, but that was because I was getting used to the new world-class difficulty, because I haven't been playing on that beforehand. So I may sim 1 or 2 of the friendlies. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind the fact that this was a really boring episode of career mode. Possibly not. I don't know. Maybe you enjoyed it. I hope you did. Like and subscribe if you did. Comment about enjoying it if you enjoyed it that much. And don't forget to vote on what I should do in terms of whether I should do a vote or a poll for the goal of the season and the player of the season. And also ideas for players I should sign as well going into the next transfer window. But yeah, again, I apologise there were no games in this episode, but unfortunately, with the huge gap there is between the end of the last season and the start of the new season, this was always going to happen. But nevertheless, I hope you have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye. Oh, I appear to have missed my braking zone, no big...
That's us out of the race. The stewards have black flagged you. What the fuck?
Okay, so I think it's fair to say I'm moderately irked by said decision to disqualify me, but at least the other guy who punted me off must have got a penalty.